Okay, so time to talk to Alexander Hagberg from the XRAY team. Alex, first of all, welcome to ETS round number 4 here in Daun. How is it going so far?
Thank you. It's great to be back in Daun. First of all, I haven't been here since 2020, so big
So
break,
long.
but
Yeah.
awesome to be back at one of the biggest events in the world. We just finished first round of practice and didn't have the best of starts, but got some ideas on how to improve for the next round.
Yeah, we saw you practicing with all your other team guys in Sweden in David Ronnerfalk's facility. How would you compare the track and the carpet and maybe also the surface under the carpet in Sweden compared to the one we have here in Daun?
Yeah, of course, it's a little different because this hall has a tennis floor underneath, so different to the concrete floor of David's track. The carpet type is the same, the curbs are the same, track size similar, but David's track is a little bigger, a little wider.
Yeah.
But in many aspects, very similar. So hopefully it will be useful for us going into this race.
Yeah, and how do you like the layout which we built here in Daun so far?
I think it's really nice, technical layout. Still has some fast sweeping corners. Honestly, you're limited by the shape of the track, obviously,
Yes.
the T shape. So
Yeah.
it's not easy to do something different. But I think the layout's really good.
Okay, so now maybe time to talk a little bit about your X-Ray X426 here on the table.
Yes.
This is the current platform from X-Ray, and we just saw that there's a steel chassis now available. Easy question, are you using it?
Yes, so the car that I'm running right now has the optional steel chassis mounted, and its option part was just released. It's been public demand for a long time. Customers are always asking for a steel chassis,
Yes.
so we finally released it to the public. I've been running this particular chassis in the last 3 races and had good success with it. So for high grip carpet, I really recommend it, at least for modified racing.
Yeah, so I just talked to Mark and also to Chrissy Krapp from Yokomo about the steel chassis topic. It's quite a big thing at the moment. It's kind of a hype. Many manufacturers are now trying to make some. It's maybe not easy to manufacture it in a flat way. You just said that you recommend it for high grip carpet for all the classes, also for stock, or only for modified?
Not necessarily for stock. It's been our first choice for modified. For stock, they've been maybe 50-50 in between the 2 chassis, so they're still not sure what they prefer, but I think it can work really well also in stock and even on high grip asphalt.
Okay, I think you will also go to the TITC and then afterwards to the Worlds, where you always will expect a high amount of traction as well on track. Will we see you using this one in Bangkok as well, steel?
Definitely we'll be testing it next
Yes.
week against the aluminum 1.5, which is our other choice, let's say. And we'll alternate between the 2 chassis and see what works the best.
Okay, and yeah, yesterday I just talked quickly also to Martin Hoody. He told us that people might like the short suspension arms when they are using the steel chassis. What's about this?
Yeah, so the short suspension arms is also optional. It's a part which initially we didn't expect to use that much, but since we've been testing a lot with it on carpet with very good success, actually also on asphalt.
Okay.
It's been almost like our standard choice in modified now. So you put on the short arms, if you keep the setup the same, the car rolls a bit more, becomes more aggressive, and mainly in modified with a steel chassis, this seems to be a very good combination.
Okay. Yeah, and you just mentioned that you just finished the first round of practice here on track. What is your approach at such a big event? We only have 4 rounds of practice, so that is not quite a lot. How aggressive are you in terms of setup changes on the car, geometry and shocks and stuff like that?
It's always a tough call because you only have 4 rounds, as you said, 4 times 4 minutes. The track changes immensely between the rounds because you have more than 40 heats in between
Yes.
the 2 times that you drive. So it's really hard to make good calls about the setup. In my case, I was a bit on the back foot after the first round, so I need to probably make a little bit bigger changes than I was hoping for to try and pick up some pace, but also taking into account the track grip changing. So it's always really tough, but at least you have a lot of time in between the rounds to think about it and discuss with your teammates how they are feeling about their cars.
Yeah, is it helpful to have many teammates to sometimes also maybe in a practice day change radios to see how the car from the teammate feels? Because when you talk about setup changes, not everybody has the same driving style and the same demands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the bigger the team, the better. But when we have 3 or 4 guys on a similar level, like we currently have with myself, David, and Adam,
Yes.
it's good to exchange ideas, but we also must not forget that we drive very differently.
Yes.
So we cannot necessarily use the same setup. We need to fine-tune the setup for our driving styles.
Yeah, what also can help a lot is fine-tuning the speed control.
Yes.
You are running your Hobbywing package since many, many years. We can see a 5.5 turn motor here. How much are you changing stuff on your ESC settings?
Quite a lot in between tracks and also in between different conditions. So I use the program box quite a lot, especially if I come to a new track where I need to fine-tune the power and the brake settings for that track. But usually I try to do this on the first day, and then I usually end up using a similar setting for the rest of the race weekend.
Okay, yeah, we also have seen you doing many videos about setting Hobbywing stuff on your YouTube channel, so we can also recommend to check the YouTube channel of Alexander Hagberg, because it's very interesting what kind of changes you can make and how they will affect the car on track. So don't underestimate the influence of the ESC setting in the car. On the other side, you're running a Sanva servo.
Yes.
How much do you play with the steering settings on the radio? Are you running a lot of Expo or maybe not?
There's a few settings I play with. I mean, first of all, the Sanva servo is programmable.
Yeah.
So you can use different settings. I usually use different setting outdoor compared to indoor.
Okay.
Those are the more high-speed tracks. Outdoor, I use a more torque-oriented setting for outdoor and a more speed-oriented setting for indoor.
Okay.
As for the settings on the radio, I usually play with 3 things. It's the steering curve, or the Expo,
Yes. Yeah.
the feeling function, and sometimes the steering speed. So the steering curve, the Expo, I always recommend to use at least -5% as a minimum.
Yes.
Because it just smooths out the initial touch of the steering. For example, if you go through a fast chicane, you can make it just a bit more forgiving. Then I also play with a feeling, which is basically a response setting on the radio, which I fine-tune in steps. It goes from 0 to 25. 25 is the most amount of response, but I usually run it between, let's say, 18 to 20. So a little bit smoother response. And then sometimes I play with the steering speed, which, especially on high grip, and especially actually in 12 scale, which is a very fast class as well, the steering speed, which is different to the Expo and the curve, affects the whole range of the steering travel.
Yeah.
The Expo only affects the first 10% or so. The steering speed affects the whole range of the servos. That sometimes I turn it down, both going in and going out, just to make the servo feel a little slower, let's say.
So you make the super fast high-end servo a little bit slower.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. So those 3 settings on the radio, to me, are very important.
Okay, that's very interesting, especially the speed settings of the servo, because I think most of the regular customers out there, they play a little bit with the Expo, but maybe are a little bit afraid of going too deep into all these different settings, because it's something which can also make you confused a little bit in the end.
Sure.
Okay, so this was very interesting to hear. Let's talk a little bit about batteries. You have joined Team EAM. How do you select the batteries for your car? Because in Chrissy's car we saw a full-size stick. Mark was also using a small shorty pack. There are so many options nowadays with these ultra-flat batteries.
Yeah.
What is your approach on that battery?
My approach typically is to use as small of a battery as I can get away with, which on carpet usually means a shorty pack.
Yeah.
Most carpet tracks will allow you to use a shorty pack with enough runtime. So this is a 4600 Team EAM pack. It's small, standard size shorty, lightweight. Then, of course, when we go outdoors, you have to use a long pack to be able to make runtime as well, because we're normally running a 4.5 turn outdoors. So a bigger battery consumption, bigger pack, but we have different heights of packs.
Yeah.
But I usually try to use as small of a pack as I can for the sake of the handling of the car. A lighter pack will always handle better.
Yes.
But you also cannot risk running out of battery at the end of the run.
Yeah.
So for a big outdoor track, I usually try to use the new 6400, which weighs around 250 grams. And that's my standard choice for outdoors.
Okay, and when you check the batteries after the run, do you have kind of a procedure discharging it and see how many capacity is left, or what is the process?
Yeah, so usually if you finish a full 5-minute run, I usually discharge the battery to 3.3 volts per cell, and I see how many milliamps I have left. And I want, in this case, a shorty pack, I want to have at least a few hundred milliamps left to make sure that I have enough runtime.
Yes.
If it gets close, you can say 100 or 200 milliamps, then it gets really close.
Yes.
Then you're on the limit of dumping the battery.
Okay.
So I always try to stay above that value for the amount that's left in the battery.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting because yeah, it's interesting to hear how you check this and how you do it. And yeah, as always, try to use the battery as light as possible for the demands on track.
Yes.
Yeah, now we have checked your car and maybe time to talk a quick moment about body shells. You're also running the Twister Speciale from Extreme. I guess it's the 0.4 millimeter version.
Yes. So last couple of years, we've been using the lighter body for most conditions. We use the side stiffeners inside. Actually, this one doesn't have any.
Yeah.
But especially for outdoors, you need to use the side stiffeners to make sure that it doesn't fold into the to the sides. I use the anti-tax in the rear, which prevents the rear from going into the rear tires, especially if you get hit or something.
Yes.
And it's a 0.4 body shell is mounted quite far forward. If you look at the wheel wells here in the front, it's a lot of material left in the front of the wheel. So I think most top guys in modified, they run the bodies very far forward.
Yes.
The rear wing, we play with different options. This is the MR33 flat wing. It's similar to the Speciale wing.
Yeah.
And many guys like the original Twister wing, which in my opinion has more downforce, more rear grip. So we tune the handling with those two types of wings. Sometimes we even use a wing from the Wolverine body.
Yeah.
The Wolverine wing has even less downforce, so it frees up the rear end. So those three wing options, usually the Wolverine wing is mainly used for outdoors, not so much indoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wing is very important. Sometimes also the positioning of the wing. You can have it hang off the body more or less. Mine is pretty neutral mounted. You can see that it's just in line with the wing struts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we play a lot with those kind of things.
And how would you describe the difference between the Twister Speciale and the regular Twister? Because it's a little bit difference here with the shape, but what is your on-track feeling when you change between these two bodies, which are looking very similar to each other, but they maybe are not?
The Speciale has more downforce, so it has more grip. If you mount them the same, let's say you mount the Speciale in the same position as the Twister will steer more initially. It has more initial steering. And that's why we need to mount the Speciale a bit more forward to have the same initial steering as the Twister, but with more overall grip.
Yep.
The Twister, sometimes on higher grip, technical tracks, can still be a good choice, but generally the Speciale has been the preferred body as of late.
Okay, and last question, still staying in the body shell topic. We normally always see the pro stock guys running the Zoo Racing Wolverine, and the modified guys, they use the Twister or the Speciale. What do you think it's not working vice versa? Why do we never see somebody doing really good with the Wolverine and modified or with the Twister in pro stock? What is the secret behind it?
I think it's related to the speed of the class. So a stock class, blinking class, obviously it's limited, also even with an RPM limiter in the case of ETS. So you always want to try and stay on the throttle as much as you can, which means more downforce is not necessarily good. Like you want the car to be as free as possible in the corner. And in that case, the Wolverine probably is the freest body, has the least downforce of those popular options, which probably for modified would not have enough grip then. So we sometimes used the Wolverine in the past, but things have changed. Now the tires have more grip than in the past. The Wolverine generally would not have enough grip for modified, and the Speciale, for example, will be too stuck for stock, too locked in, too much grip, if there's such a thing, but yeah, there is.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty nice sum up on the body shell topic from you, Alex. Thank you for the moment. What do you expect from the weekend?
Of course, extremely high level of competition. The goal is always to try and fight for the win. If we cannot fight for the win, we at least want to try and make the A main and fight for a high as possible position. We need to be realistic and see if the track can come to us, or a lot can change in the few hours between the runs.
Okay, and once the ETS is finished, I think you will only have a couple of days off before you then head to Bangkok for a long series of TRTC practice days.
Yeah, so we head to Thailand already on Wednesday, and we stay for a total.
Pretty early.
We stay for a total of 11 days, where the first 6 days are just open practice. Yeah. So we get a lot of track time, and testing and tuning of the cars. But we have to do that because all the other teams are doing the same thing.
Yeah, so it has become something special to be very early in Thailand. So we will see us there. All the best of luck for the rest of the weekend now and also for TITC. This was X-Ray driver Alexander Hagberg here showing his car on track, on the table, and talking us through some many interesting topics.